privileged to introduce, we have 3 members of the Bartow Trust here today from Portland and Newport. We have Wilder Schmaltz, no, I'm getting breast, who is the Bartow Trust manager, and he's going to speak in a moment. We have Karin Murphy, the Bartow trustee, and she has just been my North Star and everything, especially the last few years. And we have Cassie Adams-Harford, and where is she? And she's here. She's now working at the Portland Art Museum, but she's still involved in the trust as an administrator and a support. So they are here tonight. So even after the presentations, they are available to answer questions, and thank you all for coming. So we're going to start with some remarks and reflections by Wilder. Oh no, Karin. We switched things up. These two are going to speak.
We know what we're doing.
They know what we're doing. I'm going to get out of here.
We came here a little bit early today. It's always important, I think, to walk around and see just exactly how Karin put this together and get a feel for things. And right away, I felt like I was just surrounded by friends, the crows and the other birds and the faces of Rick everywhere. I miss him so much, and it was so wonderful to be in his presence, and now it's full of you. You are here. You have come to honor him and to enjoy his art and to welcome the season. It's a beautiful time. I mostly got to know Rick through Sweat Lodge, Singing Salmon Sweat Lodge. And when we would start a sweat, we would put medicines on the rocks. And into this vessel, I have put some of those medicines. We would start with sage, and sage creates a clean atmosphere. Takes away all that you came in with. And then we would put sweetgrass in there to bring in the sweetness of Mother Earth, the presence that Creator has given us by this beautiful world that we live in. And then there would be cedar. Cedar creates a dome of security around the proceedings, keeps everyone safe, keeps our business here safe. And last, tobacco. Tobacco goes straight through up to Creator, bringing our hopes, our wishes, our prayers, our fears, and makes everything right. The theme that Karin chose is story as medicine. So I'm going to share one of the stories from Sweat Lodge, and then Wilder can take over with artsy type things. In the beginning, when Creator was making the world, very busy time. He had a lot of things going on and was working very, very hard. At that time, he had already made the trees. He needed to rest, so he asked the trees to keep an eye on things while he was resting. So off he goes to slumber, and the trees waited, they stood there, they got bored, and pretty soon they got tired, and they one by one started to go to sleep. All the trees except cedar. Cedar stayed awake the whole time. When Creator woke up, he looked around. He said, "Oh my, not very good, you guys. Thank you, cedar. From now on, you will be my message of everlasting protection, goodness. Your arms come down and create a special sweet space that is safe and comforting. Cedar is on every continent on this planet. And cedar never changes. It's always green. The other trees, well, we know what happens in autumn. The leaves fall. They go back to their skeletal selves and go through their cycle of sleep and back to our presence again from the spring. So there's a story for you. There's cedar to keep us safe and warm and comfortable in this presence. And on that note, I'll hand things over to Wilder.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a really wonderful show of Rick's work. And, you know, since his passing in 2016, it's kind of been left to us, the people that he entrusted his work to make sense of, make a show of his work, rather than an intentional body of work, as he would in his time. And Karin's done a really fantastic job of suggesting the relationships between works of disparate times and themes throughout his career. I think the earliest piece here is from 1990, right? The crow change piece there. And it goes all the way up through the painting in the back, which is from 2015. And that was done in, I think, his last 2 months that he was actively making work before his art-making strength and health really started to decline. But let's see. When he was around, he gave these incredibly funny, self-effacing talks about his work that were partially about his work and partially about himself. And then, like, he would add like very profound bits in there as well. And so it's a challenge to speak about his work as someone other than himself. But I'll talk a little bit about how he would go about making some of these works. He would often, with these large pastel drawings, he would have them up sometimes 5, 7, 10 at a time in his studio. And he would go by and just make slashes, scribbles. He would cover his hand in pastel and slap it against the paper. And he would go back and forth. He would do the same with paintings. And in time, a good shape, an image would suggest itself. He would go back in with erasers, and then he would really start to carve out just the right thing. And a lot of his work had to do with animals, birds, the natural world that he saw around him. He lived in Newport for his entire life, aside from his time in Vietnam. He would really draw from his own experience. I remember a time when he was contacted by someone at the Oregon Zoo and said, like, we have a big commission for you. It's for the new elephant pavilion. We want you to make all these elephants. It's going to be very lucrative. It's going to be amazing. And he turned it down. He said, I have no experience with elephants. I don't open my window and see them when I'm having coffee in the morning. And Rick would also he made many thousands of these drypoint etchings, many editioned pieces. And the way he made those was by and large in collaboration with Seiji Hiroshima, who's a master printmaker based in Tokyo. And they would meet at times in Newport and in Tokyo. They would do work together there, which was fantastic. But the majority of that work was done by a mail correspondence. Rick would take sheets of plexiglass, he would incise the image onto it, put it in the mail, ship it to Seiji, who would choose a nice paper and ink color. He would ink it up, white print edition, and send them back to Rick to sign. So there's a lot of provenance and hands on each piece. It's really wonderful. And you know, it occurs to me too that the timing for this show, Karin, is not only really fantastic for the Portland Art Museum show that's opening in November that you mentioned, but it does also align with kind of the closing chapter of Rick's art making to some of the final pieces, the dancing piece, the owl drawn piece on the other side, and the masking painting there. And it's a significant time, and next year marks the 10th anniversary of his passing too. It's really wonderful to still have all of these works that can be seen together in a space like this community. And let's see. And you know, I was just at the Jordan Schnitzer Museum, just the Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art, just before coming here to see the James Lavador show. Rick and James had a great and funny friendship. They made some collaborative pieces together, some monotypes. And James wanted them to be largely abstract, and Rick, of course, wanted to be representational, figurative. So he and Rick had sort of a clash about that. But let's see, I've got the quote here. There's a really great piece of, a really great quotation from James Lavador in the wall text at that show that says, "To me, these paintings are medicine to the world." And for Rick, painting, drawing, art making was extremely therapeutic. He had experienced a large amount of loss in his life, and he suffered from PTSD for the rest of his life from his experience in Vietnam. And so he got a large amount of healing from the art making and from the sweat lodge practice too that Karin mentioned. But I think he became keenly aware of how healing his work in the world could be for other people. And without fail, at his exhibitions, there will be people that you can observe having a profound connection and a potential healing moment with his work.
That sound is the little bird bringing our prayers up to Creator. And as Rick would say, that's enough.